What's up, FlickPop fam? Get ready for a rapid-fire news dump that's going to blow your mind. First up, President Donald Trump is expanding the White House with a massive new ballroom, and he's saying it's going to be bigger and better than anyone expected, with room for nearly 40% more guests. We're talking about a serious upgrade that's already underway. Next, we're heading overseas where Donald Trump is laying down the law, urging all NATO countries to cut off their shocking Russian oil purchases. He believes this is the key to ending the war in Ukraine and is calling for drastic measures, even suggesting hefty tariffs on China to break their hold on Russia. This could be a game changer for international relations. And speaking of global pressure, Donald Trump is doubling down, pushing for NATO allies to cease their oil buys from Russia and to slap massive tariffs on China. He's made it clear that he's ready to act, but he needs the alliance to stand with him to bring a swift end to the conflict and save countless lives. Is this the wake-up call the world needs? Finally, we're pulling back the curtain on the immense influence of Stephen Miller. We'll explore his significant role behind the scenes, shaping policies and wielding power in ways that have reshaped the nation. You'll get an inside look at the architect of some of the most impactful and controversial decisions. Stay tuned for all the details and make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell so you don't miss a second of FlickPop. White House Ballroom gets a major expansion under Trump. The White House is set to get a significant upgrade, as President Donald Trump has revealed that the new, lavish ballroom annex is being made even larger than initially planned. Trump himself stated in a recent interview that the ballroom will be a little bigger and top of the line, capable of hosting up to 900 guests, a nearly 40% increase in capacity from earlier estimates. This ambitious project, slated to cost around $200 million, is being funded by President Trump and other Patriot donors. Construction has already begun on the site of the East Wing, aiming for completion well before the end of Trump's term, and designed to be architecturally harmonious with the existing White House structures. Public reaction has been mixed, with many questioning the necessity and cost of such a grand addition during current economic conditions, while supporters highlight its potential to modernize White House hosting capabilities and showcase American prestige. Analysts are watching closely to see how this major construction project impacts White House operations and public perception. Don't go anywhere, because what's happening on the global stage is just as explosive. Next, we're diving into Donald Trump's urgent plea to NATO regarding the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Trump demands NATO halt Russian oil purchases to end Ukraine war. President Donald Trump has issued a strong call to NATO nations, urging them to cease their shocking purchases of Russian oil, asserting that such actions significantly undermine the alliance's commitment to ending the war in Ukraine. In a statement on his Truth Social platform, Trump declared that a unified halt to these energy imports, alongside substantial tariffs on China, would be instrumental in quickly resolving the conflict. He pointed to countries like Turkey, Hungary, and Slovakia as key buyers of Russian oil, emphasizing that their continued patronage strengthens Russia's position. The news has sparked debate among international relations experts and the public, with some lauding Trump's decisive stance and others questioning the feasibility and potential economic repercussions of such a drastic embargo. The situation is being closely monitored as it could reshape global energy markets and geopolitical alliances. But the pressure doesn't stop there. Trump's strategy involves even bolder moves on the international front. Next, we explore the full extent of his demands for economic sanctions and tariffs against Russia and China. Trump pushes NATO for sweeping sanctions on Russia and China to end Ukraine war. President Donald Trump is escalating his pressure campaign, calling on NATO allies to cease all Russian oil purchases and implement significant tariffs on China, arguing these measures are crucial for a swift resolution to the Ukraine war. Trump stated in a social media post that while he is prepared to impose major sanctions on Russia and new tariffs on China, NATO nations must first commit to taking similar actions. He expressed frustration with the alliance's perceived lack of full commitment, calling the continued purchase of Russian oil by some members shocking and detrimental to their leverage. Turkey, Hungary, and Slovakia were identified as prominent buyers of Russian oil within NATO. Trump proposed 50% to 100% tariffs on China, to be lifted only upon the war's conclusion, believing this would disrupt China's influence over Russia. He reiterated his claim that the war would not have occurred under his presidency and positioned himself as a facilitator for peace, aiming to save lives. The international community is closely watching how NATO members respond to these demands, which could have profound economic and diplomatic implications. Now, let's shift focus from global politics to the corridors of power within the United States. Prepare yourself for an in-depth look at the formidable influence of Stephen Miller. Inside Stephen Miller's expansive power and policy reign. Stephen Miller, a key architect of the Trump administration's policy agenda, has emerged as an immensely powerful, unelected figure shaping the nation's direction. Following Donald Trump's electoral victory, Miller has been instrumental in implementing and solidifying policies, particularly concerning immigration, with effects that continue to be felt. His influence extends across virtually all policy initiatives and executive actions, with a focus on hardline immigration enforcement, including the normalization of military deployments on American soil for domestic purposes and controversial detention policies. Miller's approach is characterized by an uncompromising stance, often employing aggressive rhetoric and wielding significant authority over federal agencies. Reports detail Miller's intense work ethic and micromanagement style, leading to significant impacts on individuals and families, as exemplified by a harrowing account of an asylum seeker's deportation. While allies praise his loyalty and effectiveness, critics express deep concern over his expansive power and the human rights implications of his policies. The narrative surrounding Miller highlights a stark contrast between his vision for the country and fundamental constitutional protections, sparking widespread debate about the balance of power and the future of immigration policy. That's a deep dive, but we're not done yet. Get ready for our rapid-fire recap and the full FlickPop outro. Stick around for a quick look back at all today's top stories and our complete call to action. And that's a wrap on today's explosive news. We saw President Trump unveiling an expanded White House ballroom, Donald Trump demanding NATO stop Russian oil purchases, and the deep dive into Stephen Miller's powerful influence. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to FlickPop for all your breaking news, ring that notification bell so you never miss an update, and drop a comment below telling us your thoughts on today's stories. You can also follow us on all social media platforms to stay connected. We'll see you in the next video.